Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Clara Rose. I, of course, am your host, Clara Rose. Today, we're going to talk about a press release and how we can create a press release, what we do with a press release, but specifically what we do with a press release to get our book out to the world. So, if you are someone who has already created a book and sales haven't been what you had hoped for, or you're in the process of creating a book, you're actually in a much better place because you can plan ahead. Press releases are going to be a part of your launch strategy. So I I don't want to run out of time today, and I have lots to say. I want to just jump right into talking about press releases. Now, can you use press releases for other things? Of course you can. So you can, if you're launching a new business or a new product line or just something newsworthy, noteworthy to say to the world, you can use a press release for that purpose as well. It doesn't specifically have to be about your book, but because the book world is where I live, I'm talking about it from that perspective. But of course, I've used them for many other things as well. So, what actually is a press release? It really is just an official statement, if you will, that you deliver to the media for the purpose of providing information about something that's coming up. It could be a public release of your book, it could be the launch of your business, it could be anything that is noteworthy to the world that you want to release. So that's all that it is. It's just an official release about something that people might find interesting. Now, if you've never done a press release before, it can feel daunting. You can think, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it can, if you don't approach it in the right way, you can actually kind of shoot yourself in the foot, so to speak, and not actually get put onto the news, right? Because you have done it poorly or you've just broken some cardinal rules. So we're going to talk about how to avoid that today. First of all, I want to say if you're planning your book launch, or if your book's already out there, plan a new launch, plan ahead. That's what I have to say. Plan ahead. So, part of your book launch strategy, of course, is going to be your press release. And press releases can go out to places like the radio station, local TV, newspaper, newsletters, any place where someone might look um, for content or news. That's where you're going to find a press release. So, those are the places you're going to target in your plan, your written plan for your launch. So, my savvy tip here is that just look for anyone who publishes content regularly because I promise you they're always looking for new content, always looking for something to talk about, something to say, something to show off. That's They don't have a show without it. They don't have a newspaper without news to report. So sometimes, silly things show up because they're looking for content. And you, my friend, can provide them with some content, which they're going to be appreciative of, I promise. Okay, so planning ahead is really just about getting it in writing. Here's where I'm going to put press releases out there. And here's who I think will be listening to what I have to say. Now, all of this information about where to find these people is public record. Nobody's hiding from you. It's not a secret. Every outlet has a place where you can do submissions for press releases. So it's just going to take a little bit of time and effort on your part to go search them out. I personally have a list of local places that take press releases. I just have an ongoing list for in my area, the Tampa Bay-ish area, because I know they'll take press releases about something interesting or someone interesting happening in the Tampa Bay. The same is going to be true in your area. Just compile a list of all those people that might be interested in hearing from you. Okay. Uh, this is a really important one that I do want to talk about right up front is deadlines. We all have deadlines, but you might not realize that the deadlines for the media are going to be different than perhaps what you're thinking the deadlines should be. So learn about their specific submission requirements and their specific deadlines for each media outlet. Now, the deadlines are going to give you a very specific date here's the cutoff, right? If you want to be in this magazine, your cutoff is over here. If you want to be featured in August, we need your press release by July, whatever but everyone's different in the media world. So just make sure you're respecting them by checking with their deadlines and make sure that you're meeting their deadlines. And then, of course, I'm going to, in a little while, talk about some do's and don'ts, but everybody has submission guidelines as well. So if they say we only take press releases of 500 words or less, don't send them a 1,500 word press release because they're just going to toss it out and you've wasted your time and theirs, I'm afraid. So don't waste their time by not following their list of rules. If you do it often enough, they will see your name and just toss you. So let's just avoid annoying people by just following the rules, following the deadlines, following the guidelines. Okay, let's talk about the actual writing of a press release. So there are some specific things that go into every press release that you just need to be aware of. It's basically the who, what, when, where, why, all the details about the event or whatever it is. And there's some specific pieces that they're going to want to see. A headline, first of all, the date that you want it to happen, the date of the book launch, the date of the event, whatever it is, the date of publication, if you will, your contact information. I've seen a few of my authors write ones in the past that they will send over to me and say, hey, how does this look? And then I'm like, awesome, but you didn't even put your name on there. So how in the world do you expect that they will contact you? So don't forget to put in that. Then, of course, a summary of your book or the event or the activity, what it's about, so that they know what they're talking about at a glance. Don't expect that they're going to read your book before they do this, because they're not. An intro paragraph talking about yourself a little bit, and then some details in a detail paragraph. And then, of course, you're going to end with 3 hashtags. And this looks odd, but what it tells the media industry, the media people, is that's the end of the press release. Anything that you write after those 3 hashtags, that's not going to be something that's a part of the press release. So you might want to add contact information or additional information after those hashtags that's just about you. Hey, I'd love to be on your show, or I'd love to be featured, whatever it is that you'd like to say. Here's a great way to contact me. Oh, here's my, hop over to my website. Those are not things that are going to be in the actual press release. And that's what tells them as an industry, hashtag, 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 that everything that comes after those, that's not part of the press release. It's not for consumption of the public. Otherwise, it might end up, you might say something, it might end up out there to the world, and you didn't intend for that to actually happen. Remember that a press release is a professional document. It's a part of their industry. And so my savvy tip is that you treat it as such. It is a professional document for them. So it's just like any form that you might use in your business. So respect it as such. Okay. I can't stress this enough. Be professional, be professional, be professional. So great media is shared, and the goal of your press release is to spread the word. So be professional about it. If you're showing up at a TV station or radio station because they're going to do a live instead of a press release, please be on time. Be prepared, look professional. Every form of media is looking for something or someone interesting to talk about. And you, my friend, in your new book, it's interesting. They're going to be interested in talking to you. Just be professional. You kind of just get the one opportunity to put your best foot forward with a media outlet, usually. So just be aware. And while we're on the subject, I too am a content creator. I too act in at least a small way as media. I often have people on my show that I interview who are doing something interesting that I think my viewers might be interested in seeing or hearing about. And definitely all of my authors at some point end up on my show talking about their new book. It's a part of the plan or the strategy that we put together for the launch of their book, and it's super important. So if you're interested in being on my show, I'd like to hear from you. You can drop me an email over at hello@clararose.com and tell me what it is that you do and what you'd like to chat about on the show. And we'll connect on Zoom for a quick chat and see if you're a good fit for my show and if I'm a good fit for you. Okay, let's get back to the task at hand here. Spread the word. Media loves it when you spread the word about them. So if you're going to be on someone's show or you're going to be in somebody's newsletter or you're going to be in the newspaper or wherever it is, be sure and tell all of your followers and fans that you're going to be featured and invite them to spread the word. This is a kind of a share the love, if you will. So it says to the people who are doing either your interview or your press release that you really care and you appreciate that they are featuring you on their channel or their newsletter or whatever it is. And it's super important that you just express that you are in it with them. Thank you for printing my press release. I'm going to tell all my followers and say, hey, check out this week's edition of whatever, right? This is a great tool, especially online. This is a great way to just have ongoing people clicking and viewing and checking you out, right? Super important that you spread the love, spread the word, if you will. Love them or hate them. Here's my savvy tip for you on that. Media is your friend when you're launching a book or a business or whatever it is. Treat them with respect. I know it's sometimes difficult because some media doesn't seem like they're our friend, but they're your friend when you're trying to get the word out. Okay, I have some very specific, and I'm going to actually read them so that I don't miss any of them. I have some very specific things that over the years I've just figured out are really important when doing a press release. And so I don't want you to submit something and waste your time or theirs because some little thing was overlooked. So I'm just going to read some things that are important. First of all, based on the sheer volume of the press releases that they receive, the media will not contact you to let you know that it's running. So you submit it, they're not going to let you know yes or no if it's running most of the time. If you're being interviewed or you're on somebody's blog, that might be different. But in general, newspaper, things like that, they're not going to say, oh, yeah, we're running you, which is unfortunate because you get them some more exposure if they would tell you. But I get that they have lots and lots of them. So here's some best practices when you're creating and submitting a press release. So pay attention. And by the way, if you miss any of this, you're not writing fast enough or whatever, you can drop me an email over at hello@clararose.com. I'm happy to send you a copy of this. Okay, at a minimum, your press release should answer the following. We talked about this: who, what, when, and where, and include your name and contact information. Be sure to send enough information in advance of your announcement date. Deadlines vary depending on the media, so know when the deadline is. For example, if you want to be in a magazine, deadlines are often months ahead. Their publication calendars are set well in advance, and you may have to submit. I know from personal experience that 30, 60, 90 days is not uncommon for having to submit something prior to publication. Remember, they have anyone who has formatting that needs to be done or printing that needs to be done, their deadlines are going to be well in advance. And so you don't want to miss your opportunity. Okay, the general rule is between 2 or 3 weeks prior to an event, except for when it's in a magazine, of course. Most media will run an advanced article or spotlight for an upcoming event if you ask them. And most media prefer email or online submission. So when you're going to check out an online, of course, it's going to be an online submission. But if you're checking out a radio station or newspaper or television, they'll tell you their preferred submission. If you check out their website, there will often be a link that will give you all of this information in one place. Check their media kits, things of that nature for that kind of information. If you can't figure out just by looking at their website, there's always a contact us a form or phone number where you can just call and say, hey, I'm doing a press release and I'd like to know what your submission guidelines are. Do you have something for me that I can look at? And they will give you something so that you can follow it. If you submit a photograph with your release, it should be high resolution, electronic file, JPEG, TIFF, PNG, GIF. How it needs to just be electronic. You cannot send them a Polaroid. I'm sorry. It's got to be digital. It's got to be high resolution and good quality. And be sure to identify what is in the picture and the location because they're going to want to document that in their for media, most of them anyway. First and last names are required unless it's a group shot. And at the bottom of the submission, indicate that a photograph is included so that they're aware to be looking for a photograph. Do not use formatting such as tabs or bullets. List items on separate lines. It can be tempting, especially if you are a writer or always super tempting for me. I want to make things pretty, right? It's got to be justified and even, and I like bullet points and I like bold things and italics, and I like to use those formatting tools for emphasis. But that is not appropriate in a press release. So just be aware of that. Avoid using exclamation points. I know that that is also a bad habit that some people get in, that everything, it's emphasis, right? It's about putting emphasis on stuff. Uh, just avoid using them. They're not necessary. They're going to put emphasis where they think there should be emphasis. So you can leave those out. And do not type all uppercase. I'm still shocked when people text me or they send me email message or something and it's all in uppercase. It's really like shouting at somebody. When everything's uppercase, it's jarring. It's like you're shouting at them, but it's also more difficult to read. Our eyes more easily read things when they're done in sentence case. Where if you capitalize the very first letter, that indicates it's the beginning of a sentence, right? If you put a punctuation at the end, that indicates that's the end of a sentence. Those things, that's appropriate format for your press release. All caps, not appropriate. They'll likely just toss it if they see that it's all caps. So another thing to just I probably didn't mention is that at the very top your headline, that can be all caps. That's totally fine. Okay, keep your sentences short and sweet. Nobody wants to work all that hard at reading what your press release is about. Reporters and editors consider hundreds of submissions daily and they appreciate brevity. So get to the point. Don't make them work too hard to put your press release out, or they might not. They may just toss it. Avoid industry jargon that readers might not understand. If the editor or the reporter, whoever is looking at it and the word is not familiar to them, they're definitely going to toss it. If you use words that they don't know how to say, or and industry jargon is the worst, of course, the worst offender of that. But anything that even made up words, made up names, if they can't figure out how to say it, they are likely just not going to embarrass themselves by trying. So you'll just get tossed. Just know that. Include a quote if possible. Not everyone has quotes. It could be a quote, you could be quoting somebody else. I'm a lover of having my own quotes. I have tons of quotes that I say all the time. I'm trying to build a brand, and that I want those quotes to be attributed to my name. And so I would definitely throw in one of my own quotes, making it clear that it's your own quote, but you can throw in someone else's quote if it's relevant. Do not scan your press release. When you scan something, like if you hand wrote and you scanned it, it becomes a picture. Now, essentially what you've asked the reporter or the editor to do is retype it because it's a picture. So they can't just copy and paste it. They can't easily extract it, and they'll just toss it. So no images, please. They want to be able to they want to be able to accept the image if you attach it, but they want to be able to just copy and paste it and go. Okay. Write the press release in an objective third person perspective, just like a news story. So it's not, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm so amazing and I'm so cool. It's someone else talking about you. So write it from that, just like in the news. Listen to the news and how they speak. They're writing about an event or a person from an outside perspective. And that's the same way that you need to write your press release. It sounds funny if you've not done that before, and it can feel weird talking about yourself as though it's not really you, but that's the way press releases are done. Okay, leave out promotional and marketing language. This is not an opportunity for self promotion. This is an opportunity for you to talk about a specific event or a specific thing that's happening, this book release that's coming about, or this event that's taking place. This is not your opportunity to say, I am the best in the world at X and you need to hire me because I'm so cool, right? That is not what is a press release is about, and it's certainly not appropriate, and they will absolutely toss it. And I keep bringing that up because this is your opportunity for free, listen to my words, free exposure. A press release does not cost you anything. There's no advertising dollars attached to it. That's a totally different beast. When you're advertising and you're paying money, absolutely. Say you're the best in the world, you're the best in the West, whatever it is that you do, that's appropriate. Press release is not an appropriate time or place for advertising or marketing jargon. Okay, if your press release is about an event, it must be open to the public. So, private events, they're not going to do a press release on a private event because that does not matter to their audience. If it's an invite only kind of event, likely not going to get a press release put out about that. Okay, so here's some important details that some of them I've talked about a little bit, but this goes into a little more depth. When at the top of the page, use the phrase for immediate release or hold for release until, and then insert the date and time. These are in uppercase, all uppercase, and there's no exception to the uppercase rule. It's what's going to grab their attention from the rest of the writing, right? It's immediate release or hold for release until, and then the date that you would like it to be released. Otherwise, if you don't put that, they will assume it's for immediate release, and that might not necessarily work for the timing of your book publishing. So be aware if my book is publishing in December, I know that I need to get my press release out to them by October. We don't want them releasing it in October when your book is actually not coming out yet. Okay, I'm running out of time. Dang. All right, headline should be 100 to 150 characters long. No more than one sentence, please. Your summary or subheading, well, is optional. It is only used to convey pertinent information or relevant details. Don't get too wordy on them. City, state, month, day, year. Your press release needs to have a strong introductory paragraph to capture the reader's attention and contain the most relevant information. Readers should be able to skim the information and get everything that they need. I'm going to run out of time before I get through this, but who, what, when, where, why, those are all important. Who the person is, you, the author, what kind of event is happening, when it's happening. If you're having a book signing, be sure and include that. That's absolutely relevant. Now you have a book launch, plus you have an event. So you have a double whammy there, and you're going to for sure get a press release out of that one. Don't forget your 3 hash marks at the end of whatever's going to go into the press release, and put anything else after those so they realize those don't actually belong to the press release. Those come after it. And then, of course, I mentioned it before, your contact information, really important that they have them just in case they want to get in touch with you. You may put out a press release and have them say, this would be a great story, special interest story, and then want to contact you to come in for an interview. Maybe you'll end up on TV. Maybe you'll end up doing a live radio show. I have done both, and it's super exciting to actually get an opportunity to get in front of those massive audiences. And it all starts with a press release. So it was super easy to get in front of them. Okay, I hope that that has been super helpful. This is just one of the pieces of content, the pieces of information that is available in the Savvy Author membership. If you're in the middle of trying to write a book or you've been thinking about writing a book and are considering the Savvy Author membership, these are just some of the things that we teach you inside that membership. If you're working on a book and you want to learn more about being part of the Savvy Authors, you can hop on over to clararose.com and learn all about the different ways that you can work with our company, but specifically about the Savvy Author membership. It is the first of its kind to give you professional guidance, someone to hold your hand and walk you through step by step all the things that are important when you're trying to create and publish a book. It gives you the blueprint and brainstorm that helps you create the right book. And then, of course, all of the accountability to make it happen and all the education that you need, like how to write a great press release. So, I would love to chat with you more. If you would like to hop on a Zoom call, you can go to clararose.com and there's a little button that says let's chat. You can just hop on my schedule. We can chat about whether the Savvy Author membership is a good fit for you, or perhaps you're looking for somebody to co-write your book or ghostwrite your book for you. We also offer those services, and I'd be happy to chat with you about those two things. They, of course, are an invitation only, where the Savvy Author membership is open to anybody who would like to jump in and write their book. Whew. Okay, I'm totally out of time today, but I hope you found some value, and I look forward to seeing you next week right here for more Coffee with Clara Rose.